Scotia Speedworld is home to race number 3 of the 2016 HARC Can-Am Series, the very shortest oval that HARC has ever visited. Skylar Johnson's on pole in the 29 car, driving for Fingaisai Tomy Motorsports. It's Bill Littlejohn in the 30, fresh off his daughter's win at Drummondville, getting the outside pole. Prudy starts just a row or two back and is already up to 4th in that 31 car. She looked strong earlier on. Luca Obrovek trying to sweep underneath the 30 of Bill Littlejohn. Prudy now underneath her father, heading into turn 3 and is already into a podium spot. That's Lily Gordon in the 83, nearly being pushed 3 wide by Alba Wanderley in the 16, the Brazilian driver, doing very well, qualified surprisingly well at this oval. 3 laps in and the drivers are anything but sorted out. 42 cars on a 3/10 of a mile oval just isn't really panning out too well for these guys. That's Allie Nelson sent around. Matthew Stringer sends Allie Nelson upside down in the 96 car. No full course cautions at this track. They just don't have enough room to get single file behind the pace car. Nelson drives away surprisingly as Daniel Voiles and Matthew Stringer into the pits as Skylar Johnson goes around the outside, trying not to be hurt too much time-wise by staying behind Nelson. Nelson being a gracious back marker, trying to run the outside and let some of the other drivers by. Lily Gordon, the 83, is currently underneath the 31. These two drivers continued racing side by side. Well, going by Nelson, very dangerous maneuver, but they somehow made that stick, and Littlejohn will fall back to 3rd, already taking a look on the 83 though. Daniel Voiles and Matthew Stringer are back out on track. Voiles doesn't really have too much aesthetic damage, but what he lacks in aesthetic damage he definitely makes up for in the fact that he is slow as hell. My god, he is posting lap times of around 16 seconds, while some of the leaders are posting 14.6 second lap times around there, and because of that he's creating quite a stack up behind him. They're currently 3 wide position. Carlin Dumy and Aiden Shepard and Matt Duncan go 3 wide into the corner. Voiles refuses to get off of one of the racing lines and continues holding up Matt Duncan. Real shame for the 99. I imagine he's getting impatient in a real hurry. A little bit of contact there as Voiles nearly gets dumped down into Thomas. Wheeler goes by the 99. Once you end up on the outside, you're pretty much getting freight trained at this track. The inside is the only way to go. It's a very flat 3/10 of a mile oval. Some more 3 wide racing as drivers struggle to get by Voiles. Voiles pushed to the far outside lane as Krasta and Shelley battle for position. That's Gavin Moore in the 10 alongside Lucas Knight for around pretty mediocre 25th position there or so. That's Zayden Davidson with a poor start. Jim Mack in the 5 back here as well. That's John King. Nicholas Guerra, despite having a fantastic run at Drummondville, finishing 7th after leading a bunch of laps, has not been able to replicate those results yet here today, and he's got a lot of work to do on this 3/10 of a mile oval. He's got lots of time to do it. Around 170 more laps, couple of rows of 3 wide racing. That's John King, Zayden Davidson, and James Shelley side by side for position. Shelley backs off of the 9, but immediately gets to his inside, going for a crossover move into turn number 1. Aiden Shepard currently running 19th alongside Johnny Appleseed, but Aiden has a problem. I think he's got a tire going down. He heads into the pits, and that's likely going to cost him a couple of laps. Just 22 laps in, and already Skylar Johnson has caught Daniel Voiles on the tail end of this pack, trying to get by him. He makes some contact with Voiles, gets sent down to the inside, back up into Voiles, and around the 2 of them go. Voiles being not the friendliest back marker, although Skylar Johnson sure could have been a little bit more patient there. A little bit of a rookie mistake on her part, and of course a little bit of a nuisance mistake on Daniel Voiles' part as he continues to run out on course. That hands the lead over to Prudence Littlejohn in the 31, going for her 2nd straight victory after being winless in her rookie campaign in 2015. Looking off the rear of Johnny Appleseed, currently back at Spencer Fullerton, who runs a bit wide. Mike Doan, slow after slapping the wall early on, gets sent down to the apron. Look out, there's Mike Doan. And right into the tail of Johnny Appleseed he goes. That's going to create a bit of a stack up on the racetrack as these two try to merge back on, I imagine. That's Prudence Littlejohn around from the race lead. Something must have happened there. Nicholas Guerra had already committed to running up at the top off of that corner. Mike Doan came down, and after contact, Prudence Littlejohn gets spun around. Luckily, everyone's able to avoid her just fine. But Prudy loses a ton of time. There is pushed back to 9th spot and is many seconds behind the new leader, Lily Gordon. She's got a ton of work to do to get back into a podium spot. So it's Lily Gordon in the lead. Bill Littlejohn currently second. Alba Wanderley negotiating lap traffic, as is DJ Harris, as Matthew Stringer makes one of his classic merges back onto the racing surface. Harris, again, had already committed to coming out on the very outside there, and Stringer was just suddenly there. I'm not sure why Stringer even continues to race out on the track. His hood continues to be caved in. I'm not sure whether he can even see out of that machine, which would explain some of the really stupid entrances back onto the racing surface he's been making. Stringer seems to come back out, make half a lap, and then come back into the pits. He's lost so many laps that I don't think he could make up a position for a very long time, even if drivers went out right now. Harris continues to be in fourth, negotiates Mike Doan just okay. Doan's been fairly okay as far as being a bit of a back marker today, other than his incident with Johnny Appleseed earlier, which I can't really claim was his fault. That was just impatience on behalf of Spencer Fullerton. He's been doing okay, might pick up a few positions if he can keep this up. Damir Bejinov has cracked the top 5 in the 13. The Kazakh native won at Vernon last year. That was one of the shortest ovals we visited, and that was of course a paved track as well. Now looking to strike as the 36 runs wide. Prudence Littlejohn and Skyla Johnson run side by side on their quest to try and get back up to the front. Prudy just drove by Johnson like she was standing still, and I think that really shows the speed that Littlejohn has. Matthew Stringer coming back out on the track. Johnson runs wide, and damn it, Stringer, really? Why do you always gotta be there? You run like half a lap. You're going into the pits this lap, aren't you? Yeah, you are. So why? Why even come out? Just stay in the pits and repair your damage like a normal person for once in your life. Johnson loses yet more time and yet more positions as there is more carnage on the front chute. That's Joshua Sekuli in the pit wall. Not sure if this was directly related, but there was a bit of a stack up amongst the back half of the field due to Johnson's impact, and Ryder Smith runs way outside, makes some contact with Alex Wheeler, hits the inside wall, keeps going, but I'm sure that damage is really not going to help the setup on that number 7 as he tries to make the best of a fairly mediocre day so far. So as Wheeler goes up and makes some contact with the 7, Smith gets sent down into Sekuli. Sekuli goes for a quick spin, gets that car refired, but merges right back into the path of Shelley. Had no spatial awareness there. There's a paved apron for a reason. Ends up in the grass on the outside, tries to merge back onto the racetrack, has no grip, and into the pit wall he goes. A very eventful lap will end Sekuli's day very early. Lily Gordon is fast, but not as fast as Bill Littlejohn, it appears. Littlejohn's been closing in on the 83 through some of this lap traffic, and now noses that car to the inside. That Chrysler Circle K sponsored machine drives around the 83 in a single corner. Very nice pass by Bill Littlejohn. I'm sure he wants nothing more than to go to victory lane a week after his daughter. Alex Tanker has been doing fairly well today. He's up to 8th, tries to back off to avoid getting into Stringer doing his weird thing. But Nick Guerra has other ideas, gets into the back of him, turns him around. Tanker loses a few spots due to that, gets that car back going. Very minimal damage, if any damage at all. He'll be able to go at it once again. Sure, got to be disappointing for him though, and a little bit angering that a lap car gave him that lack of patience, considering we're just barely more than a quarter of the way through this thing. Elba Wanderley has suddenly made her presence known at the front. She just got by the 83 of Lily Gordon, is now going after Littlejohn. She's right on the back bumper of him heading into one and just dives it in there. Somehow makes it stick. Really impressive job by the driver, that number 16 Canadian Tire Ford, as she goes by Bill Littlejohn and is quickly making work of Alex Wheeler here. It looks like certainly one of the faster cars that I've seen today. Steering her back out again. Careful, Wheeler nearly has the same fate of his teammate Harris. They're nearly getting put in the wall, I imagine, off of turn 4. Stringer's presence held up Bill Littlejohn a little bit as he loses a couple of spots to Lily Gordon and to Luka Obrovac in the 3 car. He's charging his way towards the front of this pack. He's never been that great of a short track racer, more of a speedway racer, with both of his wins coming at tracks of around a mile in length. So far looking very strong in that SpongeBob SquarePants machine. Damir Bejinov up into 4th position as Bill Littlejohn continues being denied access to the bottom of the track. His daughter Prudy is now almost back up to him. That is incredible that she has been able to charge her way back up here like that. Of course, Prudy and Skyla Johnson seem to be working together until Johnson got involved in yet another accident. Prudy, other than her spin, has been fairly lucky with some of these really annoying lap cars, and is now actually nearly 3 wide with Damir Bejinov and her father off of turn number 2. That's Bill Littlejohn trying to get back around the 13 as Gavin Moore tries to unlap himself in that 10 car, giving it all he has. Last couple of rounds, he's always there when it counts, trying to get himself back on the lead lap so that perhaps if that car comes to life as the green flag stint continues, he might be able to get himself yet another top 10 finish. Gavin Moore slows heading into turn 3. He's got a big engine problem underneath the hood of that number 10. Bill Littlejohn struggles to get around him. That's Shelley into the back of the 10. Annie Thomas with some severe damage there. Shelley gets pinned up into the wall, and everyone kind of stacks them up behind him. Voiles have room to get by on the way. He's stopped like that, but they're nearly 6 wide trying to get through this accident. That's Lily Gordon pushed 5 wide along the apron there. I can't believe they're going to get this sorted out. I think they are, though. Everyone with just a little bit of damage, but continues. As I said earlier, no full course yellows at this course. There just isn't enough room for them to get a single file underneath the pace car, plus flat rock. Just flat rock. Lily Gordon continues, though, in the top 3, I do believe. Bill Littlejohn suffered the worst from this, though. He's now outside the top 10, around 10 seconds back of the new race leader. I don't think it's Elba Wanderley anymore, as he struggles to get through some of this traffic. Hey, found Skyla Johnson. Johnson back here in the 29. Alex Tanker is here in the 91. That's Mark Nutt, who I'm not even sure is on the lead lap, who's back here as well. It turns out through all that mayhem, Lily Gordon got the lead back in the 83. That's Prudence Littlejohn. Somehow is back in second in the 31 machine. That is insane. What a first third of this race to watch for the fans. Lots of side-by-side action and some pretty questionable maneuvers by some of the drivers has made this very, very chaotic, to say the least. Got several rows of 2 wide racing here. That's Brandon Crafton, Sawyer Girl side-by-side. Gerald Reddington, who's a lap down, struggling to get what he can. Johnny Appleseed and John King are side-by-side. Lucas Knight and Obrovac are racing alongside one another, and that's Spencer Fullerton, who I believe is trying to get his lap back from the 13 of Damir Bejyanov. Lily Gordon has been posting some of the fastest laps on the racetrack, but not nearly as fast as Prudence Littlejohn in the 31, who dives underneath the 83 in turn number 1 to nearly make some contact. Coming out of turn number 2, Prudy ran wide, trying to get up in front, will be able to do so, and Prudy runs the extreme low side of the racetrack to try and prevent a crossover move down into turn 1. Now on lap number 76 of 185, lots of time still to go. But it's been a very tumultuous race for Prudence Littlejohn. She's been in the lead, then crashed, now is back to the lead, and is now back into second place as Lily Gordon shoves the 31 up the racetrack a little bit and is back into the race lead. Skyla Johnson about to go a lap down from 19th position. Amazingly enough, these guys have really charged their way through the field, and of course, the major stack-up incident following Gavin Moore's engine failure did not help this. Johnny Martinez in the 22 trying to struggle for dear life here, wants to stay on that lead lap. Again, even though no cautions to reset the field a little bit, it's still kind of important for these guys to remain in front of the leader. As they're 3 wide there, Alex Wheeler trying to get back around Lily Gordon, trying to get back onto the lead lap, I want to say. He might be 2 laps down. I really have no idea at this point. Quite a chaotic race. Still 3 wide at this point. Prudence Littlejohn back into the race lead. Despite some very tight driving maneuvers there, being quite aggressive here, she waited until the end in Drummondville. A vastly different strategy than she's doing here at Scotia Speedworld, but so far it's paid off in what's been a vastly different race from Autodrome Drummond. Around a straightaway back from the top 2, the new 3rd place runner is currently Santa Cruz in the McDonald's 82 machine. The Dutch driver doing well in this race. She did well in qualifying in Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I think she finished all right there as well. Did nothing notable, really, I don't think, in Autodrome Drummond. I can't really remember, to be honest. Behind her is Damir Bejyanov, who continues running well in the 13. He's been going for survival, and that's certainly what he's been good at so far. Sawyer Girl, surprise driver in the top 5, currently sitting in front of Johnny Appleseed there. He just lapped Johnny Appleseed in the 00, I do believe, and is trying to reel in the 13. Runs a little bit wide there. He's got some work to do in the next few laps. Matt Duncan currently running 6th in the 99. Johnny Appleseed comes down the track after getting loose off of turn number 4. Matt Duncan's kept himself out of trouble completely so far. That car looks pristine, one of the very few ones to look that way, and he is closing in on the number 13 of Bejyanov and the 01 of Sawyer Girl. And just behind him is Matthew Nicholson in the 43. It seems the drivers that I've talked least about, that have been least in the viewpoint so far in this race, are the ones that have gained the most positions over the course of this race. Lily Gordon really lagging behind Prudence Littlejohn as far as traffic negotiated, is currently more than a second or 2 back of Littlejohn, and several cars in between them as John King and Annie Thomas made some contact off of turn 2, and an amazing save by Annie Thomas and some great patience on her behalf to avoid getting into the 01 when she came back up the track in turn number 3. Annie Thomas got some pretty big damage from hitting James Shelley during the Gavin Moore stack-up incident off of turn 4, came into the pits, managed to repair whatever was ailing that car in around 4 laps, and is now back out on the track, one of the last cars running, but still looking fairly good, and not that far off the pace either. John King trying to follow Santa Cruz through past Daniel Voiles, and that was close. Manages to do so. John King a lap down, Daniel Voiles a lot more a lot more than 1 lap down. But anyways, the top 3 drivers are actually all women. And I think that's probably the first time in HARC history that's been the case. It's Prudence Littlejohn first, and followed by Lily Gordon and Santa Koers of the Netherlands. Prudence Littlejohn currently has nearly a 3-second advantage over Lily Gordon. She's really been slamming through these lap cars. Currently doing a crossover move on James Shelley, who's God knows is how many laps down Shelley is at this point after being pinned up to the wall. Now trying to get by Mark Nutt. That's Lucas Knight around after contact with Sydney Crasta, and Prudence Littlejohn has nowhere to go but into Lucas Knight's rear. Crasta making some contact with Gavin Moore further up ahead. Crasta back into Moore and Moore into the pit wall, nearly back down the track right in front of Littlejohn. It must seem to Littlejohn like everything is just going to hell at this point. It seems, despite her best efforts, she has been in calamity after calamity. And now Lily Gordon back within half a second of Prudence Littlejohn. In fact, right behind her. Just half a lap later, and Lily Gordon is by Prudence Littlejohn and back into the lead, despite trailing by 2.6 seconds just 3 or 4 laps ago. No, Prudence Littlejohn back up the inside of the 83 and retakes the lead just as quickly as Lily Gordon did just earlier that last lap, as Littlejohn continues to try and struggle through this very difficult lap traffic. This track has been putting on one hell of a show for the fans, even if they can't exactly figure out who exactly is battling with whom. I imagine that's probably the hardest part, is determining who the hell is on the lead lap at this point. But Lily Gordon following Prudence Littlejohn's footsteps through this lap traffic by Mark Nutt, by Ryder Smith, by Michael Kane. And with around 70 laps to go, this battle is sure not over. Prudence Littlejohn comes up on perhaps her biggest threat yet, lapping Daniel Voiles for the 9th time. Voiles cuts the 31 off into the corner. I think there was a little bit of contact off at turn 2, but I think that was warranted by the 31. The 52 has been giving the lead lap cars no room all day. Lily Gordon currently stuck behind the 52. Voiles is a little bit nicer to her, or Voiles just ran wide. I have no idea, but watch Voiles as he's just going to let Michael King dive up the inside. Yeah, no big deal, just go on through. But of course he would never do the same for one of the lead lap cars. I think it's just a vendetta because he got taken out so early in the middle of like lead lap traffic, but he's really got to be become a little bit more mature than that if he's going to get a second victory. And maybe if he can get a second victory, he won't put it in the pit wall on his way back to victory lane next time. I'm not sure how Henrietta Fitzwater does it, but somehow, yet again, like in Autodrome Drummond, she is up front when it counts. In these final 60 to 70 laps, she is up into the top 10, and she started in around 37th or 38th place. Again, might become the hard charger of the race, currently being beat out by only one driver, and I believe that's Matthew Nicholson in the 43, who started 41st on the racetrack and is currently sitting nearly in the top 5, I do believe. Annie Thomas gets passed by John King. That battle not for position, of course. Thomas is 5 laps down, while King and Reddington are just 1, as Reddington gives a masterclass on how to dump another driver. The 93 goes for a spin, gets that thing back going again within seconds though. Great job by her. It doesn't really matter, there's no one on the same lap as Thomas anyways. Prudence Littlejohn has herself trapped right now. Not only is she on the outside, but she's behind a very slow driver, Lucas Knight in the 8 car, who has a hell of a lot of damage. James Shelley goes up the inside of the 31 to get one of his laps back. 31 pushing it 3 wide, very aggressive move there. Nearly puts the 8 in the wall. I believe she did put the 8 car in the wall, but Lily Gordon underneath the 31 in turn number 3. They nearly make some contact. The 31 trying to squeeze the 83 all the way down to the bottom, make it as hard as possible for the 83 to go by, but Lily Gordon having the optimal line on this flat track easily makes that pass work. 50 laps to go, and the top 4 are all together at the front of the field. It's Lily Gordon in first position. Prudence Littlejohn in the 31 is in second. Not for long, though, alongside the 83 currently. The 13 of Damir Bejinov just recently passed Santa Cruz for that third spot, and Prudence Littlejohn once again makes it look easy, driving by the 83 and already has a couple of car lengths between the two of them. That's also helped by the fact that Damir Bejinov continues charging his way through this group of drivers. He won at Vernon last year, looking to win it again at another short oval, this time in Nova Scotia. Prudence Littlejohn trying to get by Wheeler in the 69, continues just running the bottom, trying to run his own race, her own race through these lap cars. Damir Bejinov runs a little bit wide, has to be a little bit patient there, and is forced to wait a little bit, give up some more time to Prudy there as he finally gets by the 69. Matthew Nicholson will almost certainly be the hard charge of the race, currently sitting in the 5th position in that 43 car after starting in the very last row. Sawyer Girl currently sitting 6th, and that's Carlin Dumian in the 7th spot. He finished well at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, coming home a very close second to Gerald Reddington, who is not having the best of days. This will help Carlin Dumian perhaps close up on Reddington for the championship lead. Benoit Laver-Irvine is up into the 8th position, I do believe, right in front of Matt Duncan in the 99. Lily Gordon, I imagine, is pretty frustrated in that 83 car. That was a thing. Voiles gets sent around for the umpteenth time this race, and Lily Gordon loses some more time as she nearly gets into the wall. Could she be coming down pit road? She's certainly lost a lot of ground the last couple of laps. As I was about to say, she lost some time on Prudence Littlejohn for the race lead. I'm not sure whether that car is falling off, whether she might have a tire going down, or what's going on, but she's currently still in the top 5. That's Luca Obrovac, who I think might have just hit the pit wall because he's got a ton of damage to that 3 car. Jim Mack racing alongside Luca Obrovac into the corner. He gets into the 3. He gets into him again. I think he's trying to get down pit road. And Luca Obrovac, that's where he got all that damage. He did hit the pit wall, and Jim Mack is just like, nah, I'm alright, mate. And continues on like nothing happened. He better come down pit road this time. Otherwise, he's probably going to have to talk to the HARC officials. Yeah, he doesn't even come down pit road. What was that, then? I must have missed something in all of that. There must have been something going on between those two, as Luca Obrovac decides that he's not coming down pit road yet either. I think this is his first lap around. It's taken him that long to go the 3/10 of a mile. I think that car is absolutely mullered, as Jim Mack finds himself in a 3-wide situation with Ryder Smith and Mark Nutt. Definitely going to have to talk to the officials. Now he finally comes down pit road. I don't know about that one. During the Luca Obrovac incident, Prudence Littlejohn again found herself in deep trouble when it came to lap traffic. Got into the back of Michael Caine there. Great save by Caine as Littlejohn swerves up high just in case Caine spun the car out. Does not want to lose too much time. But Santa Cruz is now right on the back bumper of that 31. The 82 might have just gave the 31 a nudge, because the 31 swerved up the track wildly there. Not sure if the 31 was just a little bit rough on the brakes, or whether Coors did get into the back of the 31, but either way, the 82 is into the race lead for the first time today. Not sure whether or not she's saved up her stuff right until the end, and whether now she can hold off the 31 for the remaining 30 laps or so. Johnny Martinez is now going after the 31. Damir Bejinov is hungry behind these two drivers, trying to follow the 22 by if at all possible. He does seem faster than the 31 at this point, and the 82 is pulling away by several car lengths, actually, as we speak. Santa Cruz continues to be pretty devastating with the lap cars. Completely misses the entry to turn 1 though, and was 3 wide for a sec with Johnny Martinez and Mike Doan. Martinez is still alongside with the 82. Martinez trying to get the lap back. Sylvian Lasavage is currently the last car on the lead lap in 15th position. Michael Kane in 14th. But back behind them, Santa Cruz is now struggling to get by Daniel Voiles, as many have all race long. Prudence Littlejohn, for once, the beneficiary. And Santa Cruz continues being pinned up to the outside as Littlejohn and Bejinov use Voiles as a pick to get by the 82 of Coors. Littlejohn back into the race lead, less than 20 laps to go. I do believe 13's right on the back bumper of the 31. This time by across the stripes, 7 laps to go for Prudence Littlejohn. If she can hold on, it will be her second consecutive victory. Currently only 14 cars on the lead lap. Johnny Martinez in the 22, the last one of those. Sylvian Lasavage just got put a lap down. Damir Bejinov has not been able to close in on that number 31, as the 31 has to check up for James Shelley, who has blown a motor. With just a few laps to go, Bill Littlejohn into the back of him. Bill has no luck when it comes to getting by situations like this. Mark Nutt makes some contact with Shelley as everyone scatters down to the bottom. That's Alba Wanderley with some serious damage. Michael Kane gets into it as Prudence Littlejohn just narrowly avoids getting a big chunk of that one. Continues with the race lead regardless. Less than 5 laps to go. Alba Wanderley into the pits. Real shame for her. She was one of the few cars left on the lead lap. Lucas Knight now put behind the 31 as the 13 makes one final charge in these final few laps. 2 laps to go is the signal that Prudence Littlejohn gets from the official as she crosses the line to complete lap 183, and she successfully gets by Daniel Voiles, the last lap car that she'll likely have to negotiate for this race for the final time. I believe Voiles, that's his 10th lap or 11th lap down to Prudence Littlejohn. Damir Bejinov successfully gets around Voiles, but it's too little too late. Despite his best efforts, Prudence Littlejohn is going to come across the line to win her second consecutive race in arguably a much harder fashion than Autodrome Drummond, having to deal with lap traffic left and right and front and back and upside down in the case of Allie Nelson, getting involved in several incidents. She is going to victory lane after one hell of a race for her to remember. Damir Bejinov across the line to finish second. Certainly not exactly what he was looking for, I imagine, but still a run to be proud of. Santa Cruz finishes on the podium in just her 3rd ever start, a remarkable run by the Dutch driver. Lily Gordon in the 83 finishes 4th, nearly 5 seconds back of race winner Prudence Littlejohn. Her car was a powerhouse earlier on, but seemed to fall off towards the final few laps. Carlin Dumian finishes in the 5th position, kind of an unremarkable day, but he was near the front when it counted. Matthew Nicholson finishes 6th after starting 41st. Remarkable job by him, as he will easily get the hard charger bonus for this race. Sawyer Girl finishes 7th. Henrietta Fitzwater 8th, nearly getting another hard charger bonus if it wasn't for Nicholson. Benoit Lothier Irvine finishes in the 9th position, 10 seconds back of the race leader, and 12 seconds back is the 10th. The driver finishing 10th, that would be Mike Wisnowski in the 41 machine.